Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Gentleman's Journey podcast. My name is Luke Karam, Phi Delta 25, and we are coming to you from the 182nd convention here in Atlanta, Georgia. My guest today is Ian Jacobs. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
For sure. I'm Ian Jacobs, Alpha Chi Delta 25 and Alpha Pi Delta 23.
So, obviously, the first thing that stands out, you're an undergraduate with 2 Alpha designations. Would you talk about that?
I am. So I'm still currently a student at Clemson. But so we have a program that's highly encouraged but not required. It's called a co-op program. It's like a long-term internship. So every other semester you'll go on a co-op. And my first one was in the fall of 23 or 22. And it was just outside of Raleigh. And so the 180th convention was at NC State in Raleigh. So I already knew where their lodge was, so I just went through, found the address, knocked on the door. I had met some of them previously, and I sort of introduced myself and I'm in the area. I would, just like wanted to get involved. And then, they were playing Mario. They're like, just come on in, hang out. And then I ended up being there every single weekend. Got really, really involved with some of the rush stuff, like talking to some of the P&Ms. Then just super involved with the pledges, helping set up tailgates. Just got as involved as I could, and then by the end of the semester, they said, hey, we'd like you to come back in the spring, and we want to initiate you. So then I went back to school, did a semester there, and then when I came back, they initiated me along with Dr. G and their pledge class.
That's really awesome. It's cool to see, the brotherhood working across the country.
Yeah.
So, how did you come to Chi Psi in the beginning?
So when we first joined, we were like maybe 23 people. And we had a pledge class of about 12. So when I joined, it was technically after like the pledging informal rush date had closed, but they had done a serenade sort of thing. It was during COVID where they couldn't go to sororities and serenade. So they made a video of Ain't No Mountain High Enough, like lip sync, and edited the whole thing and sent it to all the sororities. And one of my friends had shown it to me and my roommate. I'm like, hey, these guys seem like a really good group of guys. I'm having a poker night this Thursday, you should go. So I went out to that and just got to meet everyone. They were all like really, really cool. And I had no interest ever in joining a fraternity, but like there I sat down and was talking to a guy for over an hour. Then I was like, so what do you do here? He's like, oh, I'm actually I'm about to finish my junior year and I'm the current president. And I was like, oh, like this guy is like the president and he's talking to like me, just like some random kid. And so I was like, this doesn't feel like your typical frat. This is like a really close group of guys. So we talked to them about it, and they're like, all right, like they made like almost like their own sort of pledge thing where ours is a bit more fast paced, but they kind of just got us caught up, and then eventually I was able to sort of merge in with the pledge class. So we're only like a few weeks behind, but yeah, so I'm super grateful I was able to get in with everyone and then sort of integrate into the fraternity.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think a lot of Chi Psi's, have that same like I didn't really want to join a fraternity, and then I found Chi Psi and felt at home. So it's nice to hear another story like that. So we're here at the 182nd convention in Atlanta. What brought you down to Atlanta for this convention?
So it's actually my third convention. When I went to my first one, I knew that I was going to come to every single one I possibly could. And then I think a year or two ago, our president reached out and said, hey, like Clemson's up for regional representative. We wanted to know if you wanted to do it. And I was like, I would love to do it because now that guarantees more conventions.
Yeah.
And so I got involved with that. So they flew me out last year to the 181st. And so I got to sort of shadow the representative. And then now it's my turn to actually do it.
That's super cool. So what would you say your favorite part of convention is?
I think it's like after everything's sort of over, everyone comes back. It's like I've just kind of been walking into random people's rooms and I'm just like, hey, like we all are kind of friends here. We all are part of the same thing. And everyone's just super open and super inviting. So it's just talking to different alphas. Like, there's some that are like over 100 people and there's some that are like 7, 8, 9. And just being able to talk to them about like what they're dealing with and their strengths and their struggles. And it's like really cool to learn all of like what everyone else is doing and be able to bring it back home and apply it.
Yeah, I know that we've definitely brought a lot of good ideas home from convention, and I'm sure you can say the same.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about how you're the regional rep for your region and for Clemson, and that has to do with the Executive Council. You want to talk a little bit more about that role and how it plays into the executive council?
For sure. So they do it a few times throughout the year, the big one being convention. And they sort of vote on some of the bigger picture things, especially with trust and whatnot. We're looking at bringing in 2 more new alphas that are currently charters, and we're looking at closing a dormant one. And so whenever they make a lot of these big overarching decisions, they decided that we want to have representation from the undergraduates to sort of voice their concerns, be able to sort of talk to them about what we would like to see change. Because ultimately, like, WOW CO plays a big part. Like, this is sort of an undergraduate group that we're all working for. And so they want to make sure that they keep that in mind. And so we're able to sort of go out, voice our opinions, ask them some questions, and sort of get involved that way. But it's nice because there's sort of that level of transparency. And I've been trying to like reach out to a lot of like the presidents and vice presidents that are here, sort of see like in my region, see what we want to see change, what we want more information on. Could we get some clarity with this? Like, how does the educational trust work? This, that, and the other.
That's
But
really cool. Yeah. Speaking of that, like, I know a lot of the undergraduates out there probably don't have a really good grasp of what the executive council like fully does or how it helps them. So if you could say something, if you had one thing you wanted to share with your fellow undergraduates about the executive council or what it does, like, what would you share with them?
I would say that the executive council is on your side, and like they're here to make sure that we can keep going. I think one thing too, where people are like, oh, well, we're paying this money to the executive council, like, where is it going? And the big thing is like insurance. So it's like if something goes wrong in like the middle of the night, like someone's there, you can call them. If someone gets hurt or injured, like we have insurance and whatnot. So like they are like the really big problem solvers. And if we were just like a group on our own at a college, like I don't know if we'd be able to fully be able to function, but they just provide so much guidance and assistance. And a lot of it we don't really get to see or appreciate, but like they're always looking out for us and like trying to make things better. Yeah. And so it like really helps us stay together and stay stronger.
Yeah, it definitely is nice to have a overarching force that helps us out when we need it.
Yeah, sort of like a guardian angel, if you will.
Yes.
Watching out for us.
And then the last question for you, you're in 2 alphas now, you've been a regional rep, you obviously love Chi Psi, but what would you say is your favorite Chi Psi memory through your time with the fraternity?
Yeah, I think a lot of the first ones that come to mind are some like our more fun social events, like beach weekends and whatnot. But I think one of the most impactful ones that I find to be my favorite is right before I joined, there was this 101-year-old who we had like honorarily initiated. Because before Chi Psi was a fraternity, there was a charter there when it was a military school. And one day we were doing our big homecoming floats, and he went up to our advisor, and he's like, oh, like that's mine. And he sort of like explained like how he knew it. So our advisor got really involved with him, and he was just a really, really great guy. He was a World War II veteran. He was one of the last surviving members of the Bataan Death March, and he was really, really cool. So right around, I believe it may have been his birthday, but it was at some point in the semester, we got to learn a whole bunch of the traditional Chi Psi songs, and we went to his place and like were able to like serenade him with these Chi Psi songs and whatnot. And he loves like the history of it all because he's a big history buff. So it was really, really cool for him. And he got to share some awesome stories of when he was at Clemson, way back before World War II, just sort of like how it's changed. And he still lives in the area, and it was just really, really, really great being able to meet him and sort of see that side of the fraternity that you don't really think about.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love how Chi Psi can bring together, people of all ages, 100-year-olds and 25-year-olds to come together and really be brothers.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, and everybody, thank you for listening. Again, it's the Gentleman's Journey podcast from the 182nd Convention.